I also just want to say tonight, welcome back, Liz.
Thank you.
We missed you. It's great to have you back. And so we'll just move right to, we have some minutes to approve tonight. So did everyone get a chance to read the June minutes that's sent out? Yes? Okay, we made some changes and very minor ones, and those were sent out. So everyone, any other discussion on the agenda, on the minutes, June minutes? Yes.
Question I had, is there a second set sent out?
Yeah, it was late today that they had the change they asked me to make.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That was the one.
Yeah.
That was the minor.
Did not get that one.
Yeah.
But I got everything else.
So we can, I think we can approve it. It was just a minor, it was just about who wasn't here at the meeting.
Right.
All right, so all in favor of approval of the June minutes? All opposed? So June minutes are accepted. We're still behind in some minutes. Steve?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we'll move right along. Public announcements. Anyone have any announcements tonight?
I would just like to thank everyone for all the good wishes, for the cards, for the gifts from the food bank, and I want you to know that I miss you. Thank you.
Right.
And President,
Yes.
just a few announcements. On Saturday, the 22nd of this month, the Spencer's service station is having their 50th anniversary party. Everyone is invited to stop by 11 to 3 p.m. Quite an accomplishment, family-owned business hung in there and been with us 50 years. So I wanted to share that. The 17th of this month is our fire commissioners board meeting here at 6 o'clock. On the 18th is the King County Housing Authority's some kind of quarterly meeting that we are invited to attend. That is at the
That starts at what, 5 or 6?
like 5:30 they have snacks, and then they kind of get going at like 5:45, kind of different timing if anyone wants the specifics. As soon as I get the agenda, I'll forward it to all of you and probably that next week. And that's all I know.
I just want to add the White Center Food Bank dinner, October, do you have the date? I couldn't find the actual date for that.
Yes, it is October 20th, 5:30 at the Brokey Center at South Seattle Community College. I remembered I was asked to bring that.
Several of us are interested in going, and it'd be nice if we can get a table. So if anyone is interested, just email me. So we'll see how many people we have, if we can actually get a table. It's fun. If anybody hasn't been there, it's really a good
dinner and
good
auction.
dinner. And it's fun, and it's for a good cause. So. Yes.
For the record, Dr. Carroll is now present. And we also have the solid waste recycling cleanup at Evergreen High School from 9 to 3 this Saturday. We have 3 branches. We even take the styrofoam at this time. So
the other thing, I'll just say now, we can talk more about it later, but if anyone has to leave earlier, September 13th, next Thursday, is our public safety forum. There's some flyers on the desk over there, the table over there. We're really pleased. We have Steve Strake and John Urquhart running for King County Sheriff's positions, so it should be a really interesting forum. And we'll talk more about it later, but that's the highlight. That's next week, right here at 7 o'clock, next Thursday.
And also, for the record, Jessica Stoneback is now present.
And then one more thing, Burion's annexation information form just happens to be next Thursday night as well. And that is that one at Beverly Park?
Yeah, that's at Beverly Park Elementary at 6 o'clock.
And then there's another one in October.
Yeah, I don't know the date of that.
Okay.
Given the turnout we've had.
Yeah. Well, sorry to interfere with that night. Maybe you want to bring them here. Okay, so any public announcements? Okay.
I'm sorry, I arrived late. Did you mention the CDA's fundraising dinner?
No.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah.
September 21st, 6 to 8 p.m. also at the Brocky Center.
And what is the cost of that? Oh, it's on your website?
The tickets are on the website. It's our wccda.org/tickets.
Okay.
I believe it's 65 a ticket.
And you can just buy them through the
To the website.
website. Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you.
And that's Mikkel from the
Hi.
CDA.
Yeah.
So, thank you for coming.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's move on. Mike Martin, then City Manager.
So, thank you for having me again. I wish I had something really seminal to report to you tonight. I don't know if I was talking to Bob or something, but I think I've been coming to this meeting for 5 years now. Yeah.
Probably.
I think so. I've always a couple of years. I'm very, very, very pleased to see Liz back. I saw her in the hospital right after the event, and I'm really, really pleased to be such a great recovery. Annexation, we already talked about when the next meeting was. I don't have a whole lot to add to that. We've gotten very few requests for information at the City Hall. I don't know what to make of that. I don't know if people have pretty much decided what they're going to do. We're 60 days away from the election now. It's mail-in ballot, so I think the ballots come up 3 weeks before the election, so we're effectively a month, 5 weeks out. So we continue to get information out wherever we can. I know today Young went to the school and actually distributed pamphlets to all the kids to take home, inviting their parents to come to the forum. We've maybe done that once before. It's not something we typically do, so I'm hoping we'll see some new faces out there. I very much appreciated the friendly faces, the unfriendly faces at the food bank. It was really a pleasure to see everybody, and it's nice to have a kind of a balanced crowd there. I understand that ballot arguments have been out. I think one was, I haven't seen them myself, but I understand they're out there. I'm not quite sure what they say. But at any rate, I don't have a lot to add about annexation. I speak for us all when I say I'll be glad when the campaigns are over and we can kind of get back to other things. One of the other things I did want to remind everybody about, this, and I'm doing this with a lot of people, regardless of which way the annexation goes, that will be go time for the question of the libraries. Remember, the libraries were kind of put on hold pending the outcome of the annexation question. So up or down, that will, I know the library system is intending on doing something as a result of this election. So I just wanted to gently remind everybody that that's going to be coming back again in the not too distant future. I really don't have more things that I think that you would be interested in, but I got a couple of things I just wanted to tell you about. I want to remind everybody that September and October, no matter where you are the smart months to get ready for emergencies. Emergencies we have around here are not terrorist attacks, they're not crashing airliners, they are cold, wet, snow, ice. We can be sure that in the next 6 months we will have an emergency that shuts down life as we know it for a day or two at least. We always do. Last year was at Thanksgiving, you'll recall, which is just a month and a half from now. So I always take this time in my city to remind everybody to get ready for that. And you all know what needs to be done there. But we're talking a little bit about that internally. We're going to be running our first test. We do a lot of stuff remotely because a lot of my staff can't get in if there's a weather event. So we actually do a web. We have the radio. We can change the scripts on our TV. And then we have some other things we do internally. But we can do that all remotely, which is much safer in terms of not requiring employees to come in. It's dangerous, but it does get the information out. I'm really happy with the way that's working. And just a couple of updates in the spirit of kind of getting in the groove of what's going on in Drury. Town Square, where the condos are, is coming along nicely. We're negotiating with the property owner there to begin phase 2. The only thing that would stop phase 2 from going forward, whether it's with this developer or with another developer, is if we became absolutely convinced that the market wouldn't support something there. And the market appears at this point to be supporting something. It will not be condos. The market won't support condos anywhere right now. They're overbuilt. But high-end apartments are just, there are also very good apartments that we can put there that would be a real asset. So we expect to see kind of a concept in the next 30 to 45 days. I'll kind of have a sense of what the developer is looking at, and we expect to be able to commence phase 2, barring market data, 8 months to 12 months. So that's our hope, and I really want to get that thing launched again. It feels like it's about time. The economy feels like it's kind of bumping along the bottom. It's one of these bathtub recoveries where it goes down and it kind of bumps along and it goes like that. And that's truly what we're seeing here. The other thing I wanted to mention, and this I am very proud of, we often, at these annexation forums, I tell everybody how much things aren't going to change. You're going to get the same cops, you're going to get the same special districts, and they go, well, what's the point? What changes? And I have various things I say, but one of the things is that we're an advocate for an area, and we tend to nurture things along in favor of our city. One such thing happened to us here in the last 2 weeks. Back in 2004, we were planning for an off-ramp, or it was a flyover. So think 509 South, and then turning onto 518. So just a big swooping curve that you could pull off, and you would have to stop at that intersection. It was expensive, and I forget what it was, but it might have been $20–25 million. But it would be a nice thing. We could not get traction for that for a long time, but when we did get, we got about $2.5–3 million set aside to begin to design the project and all that stuff. We got notice of a rescission budget, it's called, which is when the federal government moves to take back all the money that's not spent, right? And I have just this dynamite public works director, and she is just how many public works directors are she's? I'm very happy about that. But we got wind of that, and we started making phone calls and calling people and talking to people. And lo and behold, we got another $1.6 million for the off-ramp leading off of 518 into the Williams Memorial Boulevard. So you recall, in that area, just north of the third runway, right, where the Royal Apartments were, we've got 165 acres there that we want to build, among other things, an auto center, right? So the auto center needs two things right now. It needs a drainage facility, and it needs this off-ramp. So we got $4.5 million for the drainage facility. We will turn dirt on that in 4 to 6 months. That is under design. That project is well in motion, and we will be well under construction by spring. And the additional money from the feds for the off-ramp means we have enough money to absolutely complete the design of the off-ramp, which means that it's going to compete very well, especially for state dollars. The idea is that we'll make that off-ramp so we'll now have like 3 sides of a clover leaf, and all of a sudden that property becomes extremely valuable because you're going to be able to come down from, like if you're the port, you'll be able to come down from the port in Seattle with whatever it is you got coming off ships. You're going to bring it right to there. They'll probably have cargo, the port will, and then they'll be able to move it without even getting on the highway, around the terminal highway that goes right to the port. So I know that sounds really, who gets excited about this stuff but a city manager?
No.
But it signals the $4.5 million we got was a miracle because we got it during the last session when nobody got anything, and we got this windfall. But to get enough money to actually design this project is huge. And it really means that that area is going to turn around in much faster order than I thought it was. To my original point, when you have somebody that's really focused on a project for a city or whatever it happens to be, when these opportunities come along, you can capitalize on them. And I think that's what I was trying to explain when other people say, so what are we going to do for this? And that's what we do. So, anyway, I'd be glad to answer any questions or anybody has anything about it.
Of course, I
Some things don't change.
The libraries. So, assuming that we pass the annexation vote, become part of Burien, can we expect that the library system is going to have more input from the city of Burien about where a replacement or rebuilding the library actually happens? Will we have more say?
Yeah, I think the short answer is yes, although we exerted an awful lot of influence the last go-round. And we were very active publicly and privately in making sure that something wasn't built where it probably shouldn't be. I have recently been in contact with the library system, and we actually have something coming up on a future council agenda where we're just going to be talking about the libraries. And I let the library system know that we're doing that so they didn't. This is all about not hiding the ball, as far as I'm concerned. And they are clear that my position is that at the very least, the White Center Library is rebuilt at its current site at Boulevard Park is enhanced, and that's my default position. I think there are better places to put that library closer to White Center that might help it serve the area as not only a library, an enlarged library, but an economic development tool. And if you think about 10,000 people coming to that library every month, and you think about bringing 10,000 people to downtown White Center, to get to the library, but going through White Center, you can see that it will provide a very powerful economic presence. So I've been talking with folks about that, and I feel very strongly about that, and because my council does, and you guys do, and so we're going to give it our best shot. But they're good folks. The library people are not the enemy. They have an idea, and they think it's the best idea. And I think they've learned in the past period of time that the community has real distinct and specific needs, and I think they've become to appreciate that more, and I think that we'll see them cooperate. So.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Any questions, please? Great.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Mike.
I'm so happy to see you.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Very happy.
Great, thanks, Mike.
Okay, thank you all. Tell me if anything comes up. Everybody's got my numbers.
Oh, wait, here.
Al?
Yes.
Thank you for coming.
Yes.
So come on up. So we have, since Al's here, Al Tiarino from King County Code Enforcement. Thank you very much for changing your plans to come tonight. I appreciate it.
Well, I'm here just to catch up on the latest spots that maybe haven't been reported or anything so far with the line. So I'd be glad to answer any of your questions on any properties, or if you have anything new to report, I can take that information out tonight and work that case too. Gosh, it kind of sounds like I'm going to become extinct here in this area. Probably, I don't know, next spring or something.
Well, maybe Al, I'd just be interested to hear now with your office, when I looked up the King County Code Enforcement, it looked like there was no more supervisor. Is that the case, or?
We don't, well, it's been totally in a reorganization. We're going to hire, they're going to hire eventually a code enforcement supervisor, but that's after the King County Council approves and everything. 5 new managers for our department. So that's forthcoming, but it could be into next year's intent.
So how many code enforcement officers are there right now for King County?
We have 6 in the field, cover all of King County. I have 200 plus cases that I have to oversee. Others have upwards of 300. We're very much overworked, and we're all over the place. So I have right like you know, Federal Way, Auburn, Boulevard Park, White Center, and it just got me in the wrong time. So anyway, it's hard to concentrate my efforts in one spot when they got me running all over the place.
Right.
Anyway, so, but I do what I can. I hope you guys know that, under the circumstances. So, I don't know, I mean, if you've got anything you'd like to
Yeah,
know
we had,
about.
I just was curious about, I know Gil had sent me the pictures of that property on 16th. So is
Yes.
that's open, active case right
It's
now?
an active case. I spoke to the owner. He said he'll get to it soon.
How long do you give them?
Well, you know, under the code, we have to allow a reasonable amount of time to do that. Unfortunately, on a case like that, we normally give them 30 days. I'm pushing for quicker, though. He's cooperating with that. I think it'll happen probably next week.
Okay.
So I'm hoping that's the case. Unfortunately, he's not responsible for that mess. There's a regular suspect in White Center that did that, and I want him now to try and get it cleaned up. And that's a battle too. It's very frustrating because I don't have much power to compel him to do it because he doesn't own the property. But the owner wants to try and compel him to do that. So I think hopefully next week that place will be cleaned up.
Okay.
Was it a rupture?
No, we had some indigents living in the alley behind it. They had tons of stuff that had been there for a long time. When they cleaned up the area, we forced them to clean up the alleyway. They brought it to the property next to it, put it in a dumpster. They failed to pay for the dumpster. And the dumpster owner said, "You're not paying, we're not hauling it off." So they took the entire 20-foot dumpster and dumped the entire contents onto the ground. That's why it's there. That's what happened. So.
Well, that's unfortunate for the owner there.
Oh yeah, he's really tight about that. He's trying to. I think he'll make it happen.
Well, don't they give out like free dump coupons for people to clean up stuff like that?
Yes, and I haven't broached it with the owner. He doesn't seem indigent to me, the owner, at all. That's normally a criteria to get those. But you know something, if it doesn't happen very soon, I'm going to probably backdoor that thing and get in those vouchers, solid waste vouchers,
No.
because it needs to get it's a help.
So you have to be indigent to get the vouchers?
Yeah, on a fixed income, low income,
Okay.
something where it's just prohibitive for you to have to be able to go to the dump and transfer fees and all the charges. It's quite expensive.
Yeah.
So we can get up to 3 vouchers for a homeowner if they meet the criteria. And I've given tons of them out.
Yeah.
So it's a good program, but that was on my mind to do that next if he doesn't get it out soon.
Okay.
The guy that just dumped it there, is that not illegal? It's not his property. Dumped
It's a
in
civil
container.
case. I don't know that it is, not with us, it doesn't matter. I mean, for the property owner, but it's a civil case. Property owner could take the owners to court for small claims and get them. I suspect it is. Of course, I don't have any jurisdiction to compel anybody to do that. Just the owner. That's the owner.
And then there was, I appreciate going to that property on 100th, was that 1/8? Martians, Fred's,
I'm sorry, which one?
the one on 100th, Fred Martian's property there.
Oh, yes.
On 18.
Sorry. Fred Michelle. Fred Michelle? you mean?
Yes, Michelle, yeah. So, the people who live next door had said, they told me what I had relayed, but they don't think they have indoor plumbing there. Were you able to
They
go
do.
in? They do?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's no waste or sewage being,
Okay.
set outside or anything like that.
Christine
I
saw
checked
something.
I checked that closely. Unfortunately, Mr. Michelle is very ill. He's got a son that isn't cooperating to help him out too much. I've never been inside to really look at much closely. Social services has been out there and they closed their case. I'm not sure why. They should have, I thought, protective services should have done something at the time, but that's not what I do.
Right.
So, I mean, it's difficult. That's a difficult case. I keep it open because I monitor it and I go speak to him all the time. If it gets out of hand, I speak to Mr. Michelle and his son Pat to try to keep that place under control. I hate to displace them because they really don't have any place to go. It's a tough case, that's all I can tell you, but there's nothing that I can see that's unsanitary or a public health issue for the neighbors, even though it's got issues.
Yeah, and there, I think it's then become a policing issue as well because there's a lot of
Absolutely.
police people.
I know that.
Yeah.
They've got them coming and going. I realize that the sun just attracts those types of people. They had a problem across the street at a house that they owned and we lost in foreclosure. It was basically a drug house. That's all it was. And some of the friends are migrating over now to Fred's place, and he's powerless to do anything about it. Now the sheriff's office can get a case going on, do some surveillance, and make a deal where they're actually doing some criminal drug dealing type things. And maybe they can help out with that.
Yeah, I guess it's a real complicated issue.
It is.
It's
It's one of my most complex cases that I never close the case.
Yeah.
I get into compliance and I said, no, I can't close it because it's going to pop out anyway. I normally go and make my regular rounds to stop. I said, you got to clean up the garbage or get rid of the old cars, cut the grass. I really try and do what I can to mitigate that property as much as possible.
Do you work with the Sheriff's Department on that property?
Not really. They've referred it a couple of times to see if there's anything I can do. But really, I mean, I can only do what's in my authority.
I understand that. We just ran out of property, with Club Evil with the department's, left arm, hand, I don't know what the right hand's doing, the county, and that's why I'm trying to make sure.
I work with a couple officers pretty closely over here. They call me when they need me. Several houses I've already taken care of because they've had problems with them. That was one in particular they didn't take too close an aim at. The one across the street they did, I went closer with that until we shut that one down, got them out of there. But not Fred's house, no.
You were talking about vouchers.
Yes.
How would someone apply for those?
Well, a private property owner,
Website?
I need to request it is the problem.
Okay.
It's normally under a code enforcement case, auspices of a code enforcement case. They'll give them to me, but they won't give them directly to the property owner. However, if you've got anybody that meets the criteria that's in violation of junkie debris codes, I can go over there and assess that, and then I can request it. If you've got something like that, I'd be glad to do it.
Thank you.
Yeah, just let me know.
Brown.
This picture right behind you there of the restaurant there, right across from the other property that we talked about. Can you give us an update on that?
I don't have one because I can't work that case. Our code allows us, it's close to entry on a vacant property. No one can access it legally. They have to do it illegally. My charge would be to make sure it's close to entry. That's it. We don't have any codes like the city of Burien to deal with graffiti or anything like that. If it becomes a big dumping thing, which I don't think it has, then I can intercede if somebody's, but I don't know how to get into it. But I don't have any authority or jurisdiction on that property once it's been fenced off. I just don't have them.
The community has to live with it.
Well, I don't say that. I'm hoping there's other avenues for the community to deal with it. But as far as code enforcement, we don't have any codes to support enforcement on that property because they've done what they've had to do to secure the property. That's all we care about. And the council's never written any codes in for dealing with graffiti or that gang tagging and stuff like that. We have nothing to cover that. we can't enforce it. We can't bring it before a hearing examiner because he would throw the case out. We just don't have it.
Yeah, I mean, the council, we've written letters, that's owned by Nichols Brothers.
Oh,
LLC.
really?
Yes.
They own a lot of property down in that area, apartments and everything.
Yeah, and, you know, the council has written a letter with our graffiti management program asking them to clean it up because it is, you know, detrimental to the community.
I agree, it's a huge eyesore.
And we have no
It looks like there's
response.
light to the area there with business shut down like that.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you, and I wish I could personally do something.
Yeah, so the county, I mean, it's good, the county has no code as far as graffiti or an
It would
abandoned
take a lot
property
of
like
pressure
that.
on the King County Council to write the new codes
Yeah.
into the system, that's what it would take.
Mhm.
They would have to enact the codes, pass them, and say, okay, now, here they are, go enforce them. They don't have that yet.
Mhm.
And I don't know how much they would do it now, unless in other communities, but for here, I'm sure they think, you know, their time here is short.
There's a man, I think, back here. Do you have something to say?
Yeah, you're talking about needing help. I'll gladly volunteer to paint graffiti. We've got it in the hot pad area where I live, and if I could get permission from the people there, because they paint it and it goes up, I just do it every day, just get those guys tired of putting the stuff on the walls. If, like the old Mr. Ed's restaurant over there in near Birdie and Boys,
Yeah.
and that old station. So how would I work with you or whoever to get permission to do that? Could you get permission from the owner?
That's what I'd have to do.
I would like
That's
you
all I
to,
could do. is
I'd like you to do that,
I
if you
could try.
could. I'll go over and tell them I'll paint it for them. I'll take my own paint if they don't want to give me any.
So we've got
I can
paint,
fit.
we've got rollers, we've got a graffiti management program, we've got all that stuff.
Okay, I'd be happy
So-
to
Do
do
we
it.
have a form that we could get people to give permission to?
I'll
Well,
give
you
a
can just
card.
ask verbal
Yes.
permission.
Yeah.
That's what we did a lot of times.
Yeah,
Just ask them if you can paint it out.
If it's something, no. Yeah,
I've looked in the phone book for Mr. Ed's just to see if I could get an owner, but they're not even in the phone book anymore. I don't know who owns that property or anything.
You go to the Kisco website.
Mr. Ed's the one that's boarded up on Boulevard Park there on First Avenue, is that the one you're thinking of?
Yeah, 112th, right there on the corner.
The old gas station.
Yes.
Yeah.
There was
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
a standing for many years where we went over and just painted it, but
I've thought about that.
that was
so
also.
Bob, you should contact us or get Christine's information, and
Oh,
she
yeah.
has all the supplies. And we have everything to paint it. And Christine, I know Christine and Gil do a lot of painting over graffiti in the community as well, you know, so. Yeah, and it's frustrating because you paint it over and then they come right back.
Well, I think you just keep doing it, and I can do that.
I used it twice, but that's such an obvious place to graffiti, that's so bad.
Although I was right there talking to Barbara, a while back, they finally did paint the side of the wall where that Chinese restaurant was there in that bigger building. So they got that, and they got across the street too.
I sent the letters to those,
So that
both those
helps.
businesses, so I seem to help.
They've been painted out a lot of times.
Yeah, they got it.
I've even painted.
Yeah. But they painted the whole side of the building now after that letter went.
Right through it.
My goodness.
Might have helped a little bit.
I'll leave my cards here. That's
Okay.
what I have, so you're welcome to take them. If you need to call me or email me, my address is on there. Feel free to do that. Let's leave my here. Are there any other?
I got one question and then one other property. It's 9844 20th. This was in our Dirty Dozen about 8 years ago or so. We had 20 cars in the backyard. And it's been cleaned up in the backyard mostly. We've got about 5-6 vehicles plus an RV parked in the front yard, side yards. Several of them that did not look like they're running.
9844 Southwest.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll take a look at it. I'm going to be in the area tomorrow. I'll take some photos and check it out. I don't know the status of it now. I can't remember. I know the address sounds familiar, but maybe it came into compliance and I closed it one time. I'm not sure.
I'm sure it's been closed years ago, but it's, did look online at the parcel viewer there, the picture of the home.
Okay.
There's a yellow vehicle that's still parked in front.
Okay.
And had another question on chickens and roosters. I was asked the other day, are roosters allowed in the county?
Yes, they are. They're not in other jurisdictions. I know that, like Auburn, I do, we talk to them a lot, they don't allow chicken and roosters. The county code is not distinguished between, they just call it poultry. And so, yeah, what I try and do is finesse the property owner to get rid of the roosters. It's worked for most of the time. So I do get those cases because it's just, I mean, it's, if I know the next to that, I don't know what I would do. Yeah.
I've got one behind me right now.
Oh, yeah, I mean, if
Because
you
all
want,
night- Yep.
Okay.
I mean, if you want, you can send that to me, I'll go take a look at it and talk with them, because that's, I know.
She's a very reasonable person. I haven't said anything, you know, but
Yeah.
we're getting to the point where we might have to because it's been a lot of sleepless nights.
How long has that been going on?
Oh, about a month.
Yeah.
It tastes pretty good too.
Yeah.
Al, do you remember Bob, Alley Bob, with his shed that was in the alley? He was,
On 19?
yeah, lived on
Let's
19
look
with
at
the
the wall,
alley.
if that's what you're referring to.
Yeah, that's, well, and I haven't reported this because I don't really know what's going on, but if you're looking at their house to the left, the house to the left of them, I'm not sure, I never see anybody, I don't even know, there's just a lot of stuff.
There's a trailer out there.
There's a
trailer
trailer, so we're
belongs
not
there.
sure what's going on. I thought somebody said there was a fire there years ago. I don't know if anybody's living in it. Is that something you can just
Check it out.
kind of drive by and
Yeah, that trailer
Trailer's
will
been
belong
there
take
for
a
a
peek?
while, hasn't it?
Yeah, I'll look at it.
There's just to see if you see anything. It may not be anything, that's why I didn't report it. It just,
Well, are people
What street
allowed
is the front of that?
to have their
19.
trailers, like, it's a trailer, it's just filled with trash.
No,
Oh.
unfortunately, if it's just the trailer issue, I don't have jurisdiction in that. That's the Department of Transportation, Sheriff's Office, DOT. It's on the right of way. I can't enforce that. I don't have the charge to do that. Otherwise, I would. But that should be hauled off. Someone can put a 24-hour notice to it to move it. If they don't, they can get it off of there. I can't. I don't have the authority for it. Yes.
Just an update on the rooster. Since we went through a personal experience with the rooster a couple years ago. And what we found is that technically it's covered under the noise ordinance. and we were able to get, I can't remember what department, to be pretty frank, but they wrote a letter asking the property owner if they could be, aware of the neighbors. And they did get rid of the rooster.
I've done that many times because I just try and just use reason with them. Because
Yeah, and I tried reason with them. And they thought you had to have a rooster to have pigs, for one thing. And lots of people realize you don't have to have a rooster.
Oh,
And the other thing is that they thought they were in Seattle because Seattle allowed like 2 roosters and 5 hens. They just changed the ordinance at that time. And they'd seen the headlines in the paper thinking that you could do that. And, and you can, as you said. You can.
but relax on
At
poultry.
4:17 in the morning, you waking me up, and I didn't appreciate that a lot.
No, I don't like it.
That's your part of business.
I would definitely have gone and talked to them about that. Made some arrangement to
One of
hire
the-
a fan or something or whatever.
Clarify your role, because I've heard this before over the years, but my understanding is that you can't legally go onto property unless you're allowed to by the property owner. Is that
We can,
correct?
yes, it's the curtilage law. We can only go up the driveway to the front porch on the front property. Aside from that, without permission, we cannot walk behind the house or anywhere on the sides to the floor. A lot of owners don't know that, so they don't mind. I technically don't do that. I always get a hold of the owner and, just let them say, hey, I need to do an investigation, I need to check it back. I rarely get somebody who says, no, you can't go back there. But when I'm driving down, I just can't stop and start walking my properties. I absolutely don't have the authority for that. It's been through the prosecutor's office, and we've had people severely reprimanded for that.
Well, I'm thinking there's one house down across from North Sherwood Park on 24th on the west side. So it'd be about 102nd, roughly, I would guess. And it's been graffitied and boarded up. And do you know the stats? I know there was a case on it at one point.
Is that the Patrick Mullen house? Does that sound right? I don't know. I've been down the street for a little while.
No, it's not. It's just been there for years. And
yeah, it's been empty the whole time.
Yeah, no one's ever.
And so it's a small little house?
Yeah.
Is there more issues with that now?
Just the same. I mean, the graffiti's not too bad, but you might check it out.
Okay.
I think you're trying to contact the owner at one point, and you could never find the owner.
Well, our abatement manager, Beth Doratus, I've referred the cases to her, and she got everything cleaned up. A lot of fines.
It did get cleaned up.
A lot of fines were assessed on that property, by the way.
I'm sorry?
A lot of penalties and fines were assessed on that property, but we finally abated it and cleaned up the old garage that had collapsed in the back.
Right.
Filled with junk and debris, all that was removed. But ever since then, I've had a complaint, so.
Yeah, it's just kind of regrowing, but it's not as bad as it was.
I'll take it.
I don't like it because of the kids in the park.
Sure.
That kind of.
So once a neighbor complains about a backyard full of junk and a code enforcement officer comes out and says you have to clean that up within a month, and then that time comes and goes, but it's not cleaned up, then
Well,
what's the
then
next step?
we just ratchet up the enforcement. We basically say if it's not, normally what I like to do, instead of going hardball on, I like to say if you need an additional week or two, I need to get in compliance at that time. If you don't, I need to write a notice in order, which at that time you can assess fines and penalties that nobody can afford now in this day and age. Are so incredibly high now.
So what happens if they don't pay those fines?
Well, then we need King County wins. We always get our money. We always do. We may not get it now, but we'll get it. So we do that.
Well, Dick's next door neighbor has a huge clutter in the backyard, and the guy came and, said you need to clean it up, and then he brought a big trailer, like a horse trailer, like he was gonna do something. Filled up with stuff, and now it's kind of spilling out, and it just is parked there. Almost like he's
Where is
showing-
it parked?
It's in his backyard, along with all the rest of the clutter.
Look, I noted that recently that he did do some pretty good mitigation on it to try and get it around, because it was really bad.
I mean, it looks like he is making an effort, but maybe that's what he wants it to appear, because that trailer is not moving now.
Take a look at it.
Okay, so any other questions? So, we just added a few to your caseload.
Well, that's okay. I drive out here and do my other stuff, I'll just see those and proceed from that. So.
Well, we appreciate it very much, Al.
No problem.
And so, you left your card, and everyone knows how to file a complaint online?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's totally new, by the way.
Yeah,
It's changed, you know that, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so that's the best way. If you do it online, it'll come directly to me now. That's the new system. Otherwise, you used to go and make its rounds through the building. Now, if you make it, the address will trigger it to come to me.
Lucky you.
Yeah. I've got a lot more cases since that's changed. Anyway.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Al.
Bye, Al.
Have a good evening.
Appreciate it. Okay. Mr. Hara is here. Thank you. King County Tax Assessor, Lloyd Hara. Appreciate you coming tonight.
Good, it's a pleasure. You're my fourth group I've spoken to today.
Oh.
Since you've elected me in 2009, we've probably made over 500 presentations to various groups and organizations. So it's a pleasure to be here. And hopefully, all of you in this room have gotten your 2012 revaluation notices.
Yeah.
I see a lot of nodding yeses. That's good. And If you don't like the value of the property, contact our office first. Secondly, go to our website, www.kingcounty.com/assessor, and bring up comps for sales. It's under e-sales. And you can identify properties that are similar to yours in your neighborhood to see whether or not the sales verification data is similar to what you think your values are. Properties in this general area have gone down again for 2012 values. And just geographically within King County, properties that are closest to the major job centers, i.e. close to downtown Seattle, Bellevue, and Redmond, their properties have held up better than those properties further out. This area here has been faced with a good number of foreclosures over the last few years, and as a consequence has placed a drag on the values of properties. And so that is probably one of the principal reasons why property in the Burien area here has gone down. Now, with getting your notification, you have 60 days from the postmark date if you still can't get satisfied from our office on the value to appeal to the Board of Equalizations. I don't know how many of you have made a formal appeal in the years past, but that's what you do. We are the only county that allows 60 days, so if you have property in Pierce County, for example, it's only 30 days there. So just kind of remember that. We've extended it by 30 days. We have not been sued by anybody by the 30-day extension, but on the other hand, we extended the law to give you more opportunity to make an appeal. One of the things that we will be doing, and we plan to implement in October, is to do an online appeal so that you can take the information and do it online, and which will make it easier, and also goes through a bunch of prompts so that you can make comparisons on your own to see whether or not you want to formally appeal. And since I've taken office, we had the high water mark just the year that I did take office, 2009, after my election. We had well over 13,000 appeals. Now we're down to around 8, and hopefully it will continue to drop. And what hopefully this reflects to you is that the values are closer to what you believe they should be, and looking at the record now. For those that are not totally familiar with our valuation date for the 2013 tax is January 1st, 2012. So we run at least 12 months plus from the tax date of when you get your notice. So every Valentine's Day, you'll get your tax statement from the King County Treasurer's Office. And this is a reminder, October 31st, your second half is due for 2012. I guess our staff has been working hard to make additional improvements to the way we interact with you, and we're going through another upgrade of our website to make it even more easy to use. And we always enjoy getting feedback from you. If you see means or ways that the website can be improved, or our ability to serve you needs to be improved. And from that aspect, we're trying to get out and constantly do outreach so that we can hear back directly from you as King County citizens. I don't know if there are some general questions that you might have of me, but
well, Lloyd, I
sure.
had sent over some questions to Philip. Did you get those?
He didn't pass them on to me, so maybe you might.
Oh.
Okay, because he ran off. He had another thing he had to do in Everett tonight. So,
Well, one of the questions was, as far as home valuation, is that determined by your neighborhood? I mean, if like our Burien home's higher than unincorporated, if unincorporated were to annex to Burien, would our homes lose value? You know,
well, in general, probably not, because residential properties, we go by sales. And so we take 3-year sales and we trend those sales and we run them through a big logarithmic regression analysis to come up with the average value that's occurring in the particular area. Right now, King County is divided in 92 areas. We are in the last year of a 3-year plan, or a 6-year plan. Our new plan for the next 6 years, we're going to reduce that down to around 85 areas. So we're going to consolidate several areas into each other. And hopefully we'll get more homogeneity within each one of the areas. So you are compared primarily with your neighbors. And hopefully those sales are more reflective of the types of houses that are similar to yours.
so it wouldn't matter, like, if, like with the last annexation, the area that annexed to Burien, simply by purpose of annexing to Burien, their homes didn't lose value?
No, probably not. You know, probably the only real critical, well, there's several real critical. One is the school district, and you're still going to be served by the Highline School District. So there's no impact there. Because I think a lot of homeowners look at the schools that you will be attending and the quality of the school district. And so, you know, that's a driving force. There's no question that a degree of services that's provided by City A, B, or unincorporated, you know there's a tremendous difference between various cities, but also you pay a price in terms of what the amount of the levies that are levied against those that live within certain incorporated or unincorporated areas. So I think you've probably gone through the discussion for annexation as to the impact they'll have if you go to Burien, or I know the city of Seattle was looked at one point as to what it's going to happen to your potential tax bill per thousand. So.
Well, would we be, because of our location and the area that we're...
You're talking about the north annex area,
yeah.
Highline annexation.
So would we, like the homes that are on Seattle on the other side of Roxbury, do they fall in our area as well? Or is there a divide with the city?
Probably not, because Seattle's school district boundaries are within the city of Seattle primarily.
Well, I'm talking about
and
homes.
Schools represent approximately 53%, this is countywide, of the property tax.
But as far
but it varies between schools.
right. But I'm talking more about the valuation of the home itself, not just the tax.
Well, the valuation of the home, we clearly see it between the Renton School District and the Bellevue School District. People will pay up more to be in Bellevue. Okay, you will see that identical developer, but on one side of the street is Bellevue, the other side of the street is Renton. So there is a premium that's being paid to those that are in the Bellevue School District, or the homeowners are willing to pay that premium. So, like I said, the primary driver is schools.
Yeah, very.
There are some folks who are telling us two things that pertain, I think, to what Barbara was asking. They are saying anticipated, if we annex to Burien, anticipated tax increase of $450 per year per household. Your home will be worth about 35% less with a Burien address.
than a King County address?
That's what they're saying.
I don't know, I can't make a judgment on that. We look basically at what they're selling for now and what your neighbors are selling for within the district boundaries. I don't think that's exactly totally accurate.
Doesn't make sense to me that